Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching in the world. Welcome along to the AOR Hype Energy F3 League, and this is the 15th round of the 18th season, which takes us to the Singapore Grand Prix. My name is Kieran McGinley, and joining me at the Marina Bay circuit, it is Austin Smith. Austin, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, Kieran. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Did anyone miss me at all? I don't know, really.
I mean, I did.
Well, it is good to be back, Austin. And I heard Italy last time out was a bit of an interesting one.
Yes, it was. For one, we had a winner we never had before. Not just this season or in F3 history, or PS4 F3 history. In AOR history, we have a whole new entry to the AOR winners list, and Marco Krisman for the first time has won a race in Monza. And well, I don't want to say he had it easy, because it was a really close race, but it was only 6 runners at the end, so we had a lot of DNFs in that one, and yeah, that was quite interesting to see. But yeah, we have a new winner. We also had a new winner, at least for this season, in the race before at Belgium with Iamotti. Both of them are here, and both of them have made huge jumps in the championship. Iamotti is now 3rd, Marco Krisman 5th.
And so we head to Singapore then, and Austin, under the night here, under the night sky at least, it's one of those tracks that really demands concentration. These drivers could be driving this track in the race for nearly an hour, depending on how the race pans out, if there's a safety car. What's the preparation like for a driver going into a race that long, when other races, like we had Italy last time, which is about 40 minutes?
Yeah, this is really going from the shortest race of the season to the longest. That's what we are going through right now. So for the drivers, the preparation is really a lot about consistency. It's not so much about outright speed, because, well, if you have the outright speed but you don't have the consistency, you can find yourself in the wall here quite easily. The walls are really close for most of the track, really. Turns 1, 2, 3 is the exception, not the rule. And so you want to keep it out of the walls as much as possible, ideally the whole race. But 31 laps in the race, and around the next corner you could have your DNF waiting for you.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to keep that concentration. The laps here, especially if you're not liking the track, or if you're not a huge fan of it, can seem like it takes forever. But once you get into that rhythm, once you get into your groove, you can find that the laps, Austin, tick by so quickly.
Yeah, it is a track that, because it demands so much in terms of concentration from every driver, the time, as slowly as it actually goes by, and you said the race length could be about an hour, you forget about it very quickly, because you have no time to think about, oh, there's still 20 laps to go or 15 laps to go, for 2 reasons. One, you have to really focus on the tires, because the tires overheat very easily here. And 2, you have to focus on the track. Then again, the next corner is coming up. We have 23 corners on this track. For comparison, I think Italy has about 11 or 12. So we have double the amount of corners on a track that is shorter than Monza is. That should tell you everything you need to know about this track right here. There are no long straights where you can just chill and relax for a bit, you know, take a breather. It's just not a thing here. The next corner usually about 300 meters away,
Well,
if not less.
Double the corners, Austin, double the fun, surely. And Iamotti now winds up for his hot lap here as he goes through the final two corners. Really important to get that all-important exit of turn 23 right. It's a short run up towards turn 1. You can see the drivers will be using that lovely yellow bit of tarmac on the entry into turn 1, now going in towards turn 3, nice and smooth through the controls there, having to slow down the car through turns 1 and 2 to get to the apex of turn 3. Now heading through turn number 5 there, nice and smooth there, be careful, that wall on the left hand side comes up very quickly, slight curve in turn 6 with the DRS wide open, still full throttle, as we look now, braking 75 metres before the corner in towards turn 7, using all of that curb and the track beyond it to try and extend the track as much as possible, nice and tidy through turn 8 and turn 9 here, tight on the entry, opens up a little bit through the corner there, and the wall actually stops on the exit of turn 9 there, allowing you to take more of the track. Turn 10 comes at you very quickly in now towards turn 11, very bumpy on entry, very easy to lock a brake through turn 12, across the Anderson Bridge and towards the hairpin of turn 13. A little bit deep here for the Toro Rosso, however, it's all about the exit speed and the short run up towards turn 14 as we now make our way towards that braking zone, braking about 80 metres before the corner, very tight on entry, and again opens up on the exit of the corner, now heading through the slight kink of 15 towards turn 16 and the right angle section now through turn 17 as you now head our way underneath the grandstand just after turn 18. Be careful here, very easy to get too much and get too greedy on the curves through turn number 19 in towards turn 20 and then into the open corner of turn 21, a little bit of oversteer there, and now it's towards turns 22 and 23, very easy to overcommit and then sliding away through turn 23 and Iamotti then 136.0 from the Toro Rosso driver. Not a bad lap, especially on those medium tyres there, Austin.
Yeah, but I think there's still room for improvement. The expected pole time is around a low 135, so we're almost a second away from that. I would probably say about 7 to 8 tenths. Still breathing room, but for the first lap this early on in the session, this is a really good lap time, and we should be happy with that. At the very least, it's a very good banker lap.
Yes, that's something that can be said. It is a good banker lap. There is Pitman there, currently on an out lap, and pulls to one side to let other cars through. We've got Aero there, 137.3, table plan 137.0 in the Mercedes there, and that is on a set of medium tyres. Grisman then making his way around 21 and towards 22 and 23 here. Again, so easy to overcommit through the final two corners, but here comes Krisman towards the line, and it's a 37.7 on the hard tyres. How about Johan making his way towards the line on the medium tyres? First person then into the 135s, a 135.983 from the McLaren driver, puts him onto provisional pole position. Slimbo currently out on a flying lap. Gabri comes towards the line, 36.6, which puts him provisionally onto the second row of the grid. Pedro here just making his way across the Anderson Bridge towards the hairpin. That means Slimbo is heading towards the line. That was a 52.0, but I'm assuming he validated that lap time at some point during the lap, so that means he's going to go again. As you can see, he's turned up the ERS once again. A little bit of a moment out of turn 3 there as he looks to try and apply the power. Slossie then comes back into the pit lane, obviously just going for a bit of an explore on that lap. He was on the soft tyres, so I'm assuming he's going to come back in and set the lap time on the mediums. 12 minutes to go then. Johan currently top of the table with the only time in the 135s.
Yeah, meanwhile, Pedro had a big slide on the exit of turn 17 in that, as you call it, the right angle section, and it really is a right angle section there. And so he aborts his lap now, goes into the pits, because that really wasn't the run, and cost him a lot of time there. If you don't get the exit of a corner right here on this track, obviously you don't lose as much time as you probably would on a track like Monza, where you have long straights. These here are a lot shorter, but you still lose time, and you also, which is even more important, you lose rhythm. This track, especially that last section, that third sector, has a lot of rhythm. You need to get every single corner right, and if you get into the groove, it's all nice and easy. But once you do mess up the exit of one corner, and even especially if you do it early on in that final sector, you basically just mess up your whole lap.
There is Slimbo towards the line, 136.1 in the number 2 Ferrari as he makes his way down towards turn 1, and currently think not many drivers are on hot laps as per se. Chrisman is on a flying lap on a set of the hard tyres as he makes his way through turn 7 again. Very twitchy on exit, that runner, as he heads towards turn 8. And the walls are just so close to each other, Austin. It's so easy to lock a brake and head straight into the wall. And, well, as apparent in real Formula 1, because every time Formula 1 has come here to the Marina Bay circuit since 2008, a safety car has been deployed at least once every single race. 100% record for the safety car.
Yeah, there have been some instances, obviously, in the past where, you know, the safety car that was triggered kind of was triggered deliberately, but we're not going to talk about that all too much. You all know the story about that one. But meanwhile, Marco Chrisman out on the hards, the only driver on the hards. I'm honestly surprised to see that a lot of drivers are now fitting the softs. We have 9 out of the 13 drivers fitted the soft compound tire. And again, considering... Oh no, I just realized what might be going on. Oh no.
What might be going on?
We might be in for something special here. Because usually you wouldn't use the soft compound tire in qualifying because it overheats so easily and quickly in the race. You would go medium to hard or hard to medium. We might be in for a rainy start.
Oh, well. I mean, I used to think, Singapore and rain, that can't happen. Oh, but I was proven wrong in real life. So it can happen, it can rain in Singapore. And Jamie James right now is on a hot lap, making his way in towards the old Singapore sling there. What used to be, what remains of it now, is a long left-hander over the Anderson Bridge and towards the hairpin down at turn 13. Very tricky corner to get right because you've just come across the bridge, and as you're turning right you have to start slowing the car down. So it's very easy to lock a brake going in towards the hairpin, as Jamie James has to keep it consistent now as he makes his way through the track and then heading towards the right angle section. Let's see if we can keep it nice and tidy through there.
Yeah, and you have a couple of these sections where you turn, or you go through one corner, and in the middle of that one corner you have to brake for the next one. Turns 15 and 16 is another one of those sections where if you lock up or if you get it wrong in any way, you lose so much time.
That's Jamie James really top.
Yeah, really tricky here, but Jamie James did well. 35.5. We should be getting into the low 35s, maybe with the softs even into the high 134s.
Well, we shall have to wait and see, but if there's only rain at the start, that sort of tells me that there's going to be dry setups here for qualifying, because the drivers will be gambling that there's more dry running than wet, and so they'll run the wet setups. As Francis now, there you go, first person into the 134s.
There you go, yeah.
950, so not very far away at all, Austin. Late 134s, it was absolutely the right call. For now, we still have 7 minutes qualifying left.
Yeah, I think at this point we might actually drop into the mid 134s even, because usually, I mean, Francis, we know, is a very fast driver. He's been in F3 for... he's been in F3 multiple seasons. Not last season, he was in the F2 there. But I think 2 seasons ago he was in the F3. So we know him quite a bit here as a fast driver. I mean, obviously he made it into the F2 last season, so he certainly is a fast driver. But still, there's always, with 6.5 minutes, the track gets better. And so there's still a couple of tenths to be gained and to be found somewhere, so I wouldn't be surprised if Johan moves up to second place, 35.4. I wouldn't be surprised if we go into the 34.6s, 34.7s maybe.
We shall have to wait and see. Pedro right now is trying to set a lap time. He's backed off of this one. He's gone down to ERS mode 0, so he's not going to push any more. As Ian Motti here on a set of the soft tyres, heading his way now towards the Anderson Bridge, down towards turn 13.
Meanwhile, Table Clan comes across the line. P2 barely beats out Johan, 0.008 of a second. And I think that might be down to a really good last 2 corners, 22-23, that double left-hander. perfectly hit from Table Clan. No time lost at all. In fact, probably some time gained on Johan, and that might have been the difference maker.
It's a very shaky moment there from Iamonti, very much on the raggedy edge onto the entrance of turn 18. He's now making his way through 21 and on towards 22. No, he's coming into the pit lane then. So Iamonti, currently 5th place, has set his best lap time on a set of the mediums. Came very close to the outside wall there on the pit lane entry. Gabri, meanwhile, is a 10th up through the middle sector on a brand new set of soft tyres. He's currently on 136.6. That puts him in P8 at the moment. His teammate Swedish Dynamite hasn't set a lap time just yet. In fact, he hasn't set a lap time because I believe he has a qualifying ban for this race.
That is unfortunate, especially on this track where overtaking is at a premium. It's very hard to find a spot here, even though we do have 3 DRS zones this year for the first time. Used to be 2. Viati Aero up to 2nd place, 35.0, and there goes Limo 34.7.
Yeah, coming thick and fast now, these lap times, absolutely. And the Ferrari there puts it onto provisional pole position. So with 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go, it is Slimbo now on top of the standings, with Francis in 2nd, Aero in 3rd, with Table Clan in 4th. Johan is in 5th place. Now remember, Johan is the championship leader. Now that we've said goodbye to a certain driver who's now up into AOR F1 on the PS4. So I mean, it opens up the championship again, that's for sure, Austin.
Yes, indeed. But obviously, it was very well deserved for Deso to move up and be promoted to the AOR PS4 F1. Just incredible pace. And now he's among his kind, let's say. Among the fastest here in AOR on the PS4. And I'm pretty sure he likes it there.
So flip the coin, I reckon. I'm of course joking. I'm joking. Yeah, Monty currently on an outlap. He's 3rd place in the standings right now, 42 points behind Johan, the championship leader. And well, 42 points with a handful of rounds to go. He's got to try and get some points on that McLaren here tonight if he wants to extend this championship as far as he possibly can.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see that Johan could become champion at this point without winning a single race.
That's absolutely right. The closest he's come to a victory was last time out at Italy, where he finished in 2nd place. So to be leading the championship and having not won a single race this season really speaks value of his consistency. In fact, now with Deso out of the picture across the entire field, there have only been 4 race wins. Is that? Yeah, 4 race wins across the entire season, and we're at the 15th round. So 10 of those rounds were won by Deso before he left for F1. So, as I said, it opens up the championship, and well, I don't know if Johan will be feeling the pressure now. Obviously, he would have been happy to be 2nd place, finishing 2nd to Deso. Now that he's gone, though, he's got a job on his hands to try and actually win this championship. Yeah,
however, quick correction there. Deso wasn't the only one to win a race and leave. We also had Danny, who has won round 2 at Bahrain and round 3 at Shanghai. And I'm looking right now, we also had CPI Leon, who won the Spanish Grand Prix, and then left. Is he in the table? Let's see. No, he also left, yeah. Yeah, so that race win was also gone, but the other ones, yeah, that was all Deso.
Apart from the majority of how I thought he dominated was not by Deso. Yeah, it's all him. It was all him.
No, not the majority. There were 3 races that weren't dominated by the other 9.
It's just dramatic. No, I create drama out of nothing. I create drama when there isn't any. Let me have this one. Slossy's out on track then. Currently going in towards sector 3. Nice and tidy through there. He's currently on a set of the soft tyres. Of course, Swedish Dynamite has a qualifying ban, and Slossy backs out of that one, so he's clearly on some sort of outlap, or at least I thought it was, but he's backed out of that one. Pedro now on a flying lap, making his way in towards turn 3, onwards now towards turn 4, and then to that breakers over turn 5. So easy to get track limits on the entry into turn 5 there, Austin.
Yeah, there are plenty of spots here on this track where you can get your lap time invalidated for the track limits. Pretty much, at this point, almost every corner might get you in some way. Turn 1 on the entry, turn 2 on the outside there, turn 3 on the entry and the exit, turn 4 on the entry, on the outside curb on the entry. Yes, I'm not, oh no, sorry, not turn 4, turn 5 obviously. The entry curb of turn 5, if you take a little bit too much lenience by, you know, going too wide to the outside to turn into the corner, you actually get dinged with a lap invalidation and track extension. That is a thing.
I like that, you get dinged. I like that. Anyway, checker flag is now out. Currently, Slimbo is the fastest right now. Gabri into third place with a 35.005. Meanwhile, Aero's making his way now towards turn 13. Nice and tidy through there. A little bit squirrely on the exit there. We've got Charisma now, who is now making his way through the Anderson Bridge now and on towards the hairpin. Slossy is also now making his way in towards the right angle section. Oh, back end snapped on him completely there. And that is his lap time done and dusted. He did not set a lap time in this session. Jamie James cutting the track there. He's clearly not on a lap time at the moment. Aero now making his way through the final couple of corners. 5th place right now as he makes his way through 21, onwards towards turns 22 and 23, looking to try and keep it all together towards the start-finish line. 4th place for Aero, then 2nd row of the grid for him. We've got Charisman also on a lap, but he hits the wall on exit of 21 here. He'll still keep going to try and go through 22 and 23. He'll get a massive amount of understeer, but he won't be able to improve, and unsurprisingly so, that car was so wild through the final corner there. But yeah, full qualifying results coming up just after this transition here to the qualifying results, and it was Slimbo who took pole position. 134.797 with Table Clan in 2nd place, Francis 3rd with Aero in 4th, Gabri in 5th and Johan 6th. Chrisman 7th with Jamie James in 8th, Iamotti 9th with Pitmat rounding out the top 10. No lap times from Pedro, Swedish Dynamite or Slossy. Swedish Dynamite, the only one of those three having a qualifying ban. We saw Slossy there towards the end of that session just not get it right in that right angle section. Car snapped at him, and he had decided to abandon the lap completely, so that's unfortunate from him, and he'll be starting at the back of this field. But there may only be 13 drivers, Austin, but I have to tell you something, don't underestimate this track.
Yeah, certainly. And for Slimbo, this is his first pole position this season. It is his 7th in AOR. He has been around for quite some time. He was in the F3 last season, and he is in his 42nd race here today in AOR. And as you can see, I was perfectly right with my prediction. It is raining in Singapore.
Yep. Get the cameras out, because this could be a fantastic one. Well, let's put it this way: the Ferraris aren't starting side by side, so what could go wrong?
You had to go there, didn't you?
I did have to go there. I do apologise. Anyway, Singapore coming up, the 15th round of the season coming up, which means we're in for a good one. And if it is raining at the start, Austin, however long this rain lasts, we could really be looking at the hour mark for this race time.
Yes, certainly. This is one where it probably pays off a little bit if some of the drivers have prepared a drink on their desks, or wherever they can put it, really. Because you might want to take a sip or two as you're driving. If you're either on a straight, the best way to do it is probably the start-finish straight, really. The second DRS, or first, however you want to count it, from turns 5 to 7. Not really the best place, because you still need at least one hand on your wheel, as the Red Bull has spun.
Yeah, I believe that was Francis there. In the Red Bull was, just catching himself out. on the exit of turn number 5 there. But that's a warning sign at least, so at least that didn't happen in the race, so he'll quickly forget that happened, even though it was on the stream. We all clearly saw it, but never mind, we'll leave him to it. But sorry to cut across you there, Austin, you were saying.
It's alright, it's alright. Yeah, if a driver has prepared some drink, I think that is a good shout. Otherwise, they may be struggling here, because this one is... It's not just that, you know, it's one of the it's the longest race, really, on the F1 calendar, but also that it's one of the most physically demanding, even for a sim racer. If the drivers do use a wheel and pedals, because so many corners and you have no time to relax. So this is the one where you really need to be on point with your physical form, let's say. And you really need to be on point mentally as well. So this is the one that, for the drivers, is the most... I'm doing this in my second language. I'm sorry. I really can't think of the word that I am thinking of in German. I'm not getting it right now. I'm sorry.
Well, it's absolutely fine. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's physically demanding, it's mentally challenging, and, well, above all else, it is going to be a drain. We're going to be running for almost an hour here, but as the drivers make their way on towards the grid then for the 15th round of the 18th season of the Hype Energy AOR F3 League here on PlayStation 4. Make sure you follow the league at Apex on Racing to get all of your lovely updates. But we are now moments away from the Singapore Grand Prix, and we're just waiting there for Slossie to take his place onto the grid, and hopefully he lines up in the correct grid slot. I mean, not a lot wrong could go there, could it? Hopefully. Anyway, we're all ready to go then.
Anyway.
We're ready to go then with Slimbo here as he awaits for those 5 red lights to turn on. And here we are then, 5 red lights. We're underway, and what are the starts like? It's going to be a lot of wheel spin there from the Toro Rosso. You can see of Aero, they're struggling to get away, as is Iamotti as well. As we head now down towards turn 1, the Red Bull of Francis there tries to go around the outside of the Mercedes there and has to go completely off the track. He actually rejoins in front of Table Clan, and the Spaniard will not be happy with that whatsoever. Watch out for the Toro Rosso here of Iamotti going up the inside of the Renault as we head now in towards turn number 5. We've got a Ferrari round, that's Jamie James in the background. He's taken Slossie with him. That just looked like a little bit of too much on the loud pedal there, and Jamie James has damage. Does the Red Bull have damage in the background? Yes, he does. Slossie actually retires from the Grand Prix itself, so first retirement already on the first lap of 31 as we're just tiptoeing our way through these treacherous conditions. Pedro and Swedish Dynamite now going side by side in towards turn 9, and luckily for Swedish Dynamite, he manages to back out of that one. Meanwhile, Grisman is trying to put Pitmat under some pressure here. As you can see, Iamotti's sliding around, as does Grisman there. There's not a lot of grip out in these conditions whatsoever. These drivers are having to adapt as they drive. As you see there, the Williams of Pitmat looking for a move up the inside of Iamotti. Nothing doing there, as Jamie James now picks up a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. So that is not going to be good at all. That's actually added to the end of his race time. And here goes Pedro down the inside, goes for a switchback on the Renault of Marco Grisman and gets the move done. Meanwhile, though, there's a little bit of a Constantina effect as Pitmat slowed on the apex of the corner. That allowed Swedish Dynamite to take advantage of Grisman slowing down to react to it. So now Swedish Dynamite now up into the top 10. He's had a really good start. He's just kept his nose out of trouble and now finds himself into the points. But as we head towards the end of our first lap here in Singapore, in these treacherous conditions, it will be Slimbo who leads the way. Francis is in second place, Table Clan in third, with Gabri in fourth, Aero fifth, Johan in sixth, Iamotti seventh, Pitmat in eighth, Pedro ninth, Swedish Dynamite in 10th, Grisman 11th, Jamie James 12th, and Slossie our only retirement of the race. 12 runners left in this one as we start the second lap of the race.
Yeah, you can see a lot of these drivers probably haven't practiced the rain on this track all too much. It's not a track where you expect rain, but we are faced with it here, or the drivers are, and it's very interesting to see who can make the most of it. some drivers just have a natural talent for driving in the rain. They have such a, you know, such a soft foot, really. It's such a sensitive foot that they just work the throttle pedal almost magically. And it seems like Slimbo is one of those people. Considering, if you look at Slimbo's results so far this season, I mean, he did get an 8th place at the only rain race we had so far this season, which was Belgium. And it's kind of interesting to see that the winner of that race, Iamotti, is down in 7th place.
Riding aboard a weird table plan. Or Slimbo's run wide there on the entrance and exit of turn 14. That's going to allow Francis here to have a little bit of a look. Will he? No. Not on the inside of 16. Not really a corner to do it as we head into the right angle section as we now make our way on towards turn 18. Now Slimbo will be feeling that pressure from Francis. Francis, having seen that mistake from the Ferrari, will now be trying to apply that pressure as much as possible. So many rear wheel spins here on those rear tyres as that is Slimbo into the wall, or nearly into the wall anyway. He escapes without any damage, but Gabri here running wide on the exit of turn 22. They're now side by side. That is Aero and Gabri as we make our way now down towards turn 1. The Toro Rosso will try and move up the inside, but has to back out of it in the end as we start the 3rd lap of the race. We've got yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3, and Jamie James is in trouble. Meanwhile, we're still watching this battle then for what is the lead of the race. Francis trying to close in on the Ferrari table plan, looking to try and take advantage. We look from behind Francis then. Of course, no DRS, of course, in these treacherous conditions. So if the drivers want to make the move, they've got to do it all by themselves, albeit with a little bit of ERS to their hand as well. But in these conditions, you can see that the battery percentages are quite high. The drivers are reluctant to use the energy early on.
Yeah, because it also means that you spin out these tires and you want the intermediates to last as long as possible. So you maybe, I don't know what the weather forecast said on the screens for the drivers, but we could be facing a dry period towards the end of the race. If that is the case, everyone here wants those intermediates to last as long as possible for when that dry period hits, so they only have to do 1 pit stop instead of 2, because you do lose a lot of time in the pits here.
David Clan giving the Anderson Bridge a little bit of a lub tap as he went through, but no damage it looks like to that Mercedes, but he did struggle on the exit of turn 13, and you can see Gabri riding aboard with him now, really trying to take advantage of the Mercedes, and he's struggling in these conditions. Aero right behind the house, as well as Johan, championship leader, looking to just stay behind now and see what happens ahead of him. Yellow flags in sector 1. I think that's Pitmat in trouble, and it is. Pitmat there has gone into the wall. That is at turn number 18, and that's almost shades of Daniel Ricciardo in a Toro Rosso. Looked like there, he just locked the rear brakes or the front brakes, and Aero's come into the pits there, Austin. Aero in the Toro Rosso into the pit lane, as is Iamotti. So both Toro Rossos in the pit lane. Rain's still falling. But,
a double stack this early, unless they both have damage, I don't understand.
Dry tyres. Dry tyres for Aero.
Whoa!
Well, that's
this is risky, but this might pay off if this DRS enabled.
What a move!
Unbelievable. The Toro Rossos may have just saved themselves as Pitmat retires. They may have just saved themselves a 1-2 once everyone's in the pits with a double stack. What a ballsy move.
That you took the words right out of my mouth there, as now these drivers, it is still raining out on the track, but obviously the officials here think that it's safe enough to use the DRS. The rain has eased off, and the longer these drivers are out here on the intermediate tyres, you know, they're going to overheat, they won't provide the grip, and they will be slower. As you can see there, all of these cars now, they know DRS is enabled. They know now they're talking straight to their engineer saying, get me in that pit lane right now. And as you can see, it has now stopped raining altogether. That track will dry very, very quickly now, and it is all just about the race to get back to the pit lane. Interesting to see what happens to the two Toro Rossos and where they'll be able to rejoin. But as you say, Austin, a really bold strategy move, but it's one that was timed to perfection.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm pretty sure at this point at least one of the Toro Rosso drivers did practice in the rain, because otherwise they could not have foreseen that the conditions would change that quickly. We couldn't see it, the other drivers couldn't see it, it was just them.
And here we
and
go
everyone's
then.
going to come into the pits.
Francis has
well,
stayed
not
out.
everyone.
Francis has stayed out then. Oh, I don't think that's the right call. Everyone else has come into the pit lane. I mean, prove me wrong, Francis. Slimbo then into the pit
Swedish
lane.
Dynamite slides through the pit entry, and Iamotti picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's pushing too hard apparently now.
There's
Everyone
Aero.
onto the hards.
Aero coming through the final corner on towards the start finish straight now. Where does he rejoin? Where is the race leader? There he goes. Yes, Table Clan still in the pit lane. Aero then will take second place, and by quite some distance, because there is Table Clan making his way now out of the pit lane exit, just heading through turn 3. What a fantastic call from the Toro Rosso team. They're now 20 seconds behind Francis, and the longer Francis stays out there, Austin, surely the more he overheats those tires. You can see he's sliding through turn 9.
Yeah, just look at the gap coming down now. We're 19.7, 19.2 within one mini sector. It already went down within 2, a second loss for Francis.
Moving down the inside at turn 7, and he's got the move done. Sorry to cut across you there, Austin. That is Pedro up to P6.
Yeah, Francis is losing
and he's lost
seconds.
I've cut across you again.
Corner.
Pedro's lost it on the exit of the very next corner and has lost his front wing completely. So that is huge there for Pedro. Just too much power there, too much on the loud pedal, and it's sent him spinning around, and all that hard work to get up to 6th place has all meant nothing. Back to you, Austin.
Yeah, that is a huge blow to Pedro's chances. Pedro's chances here. He's gonna have to come into the pits instantly again, and he's so far behind by then that he really doesn't have much of a chance. He needs to keep it out of the wall first. That was really close, and those tire barriers there on the exit of turn 14, they bite back. They can really be nasty, and they can end your race instantly, as can the tire barriers here in turn 18. Now Swedish Dynamite has to navigate past the Alfa Romeo, and he does. Pedro's taken every wall with him, and he stays. No, he doesn't stay out. I was worried for a second there that he tries to stay out, but he couldn't make the corner, and so he had to take the pit entry a little bit differently, but he's in the pits now. As Jimmy James has put the car into the wall, and he has retired from the session. So we are down to 10 runners, meaning Pedro, if he finishes, gets a point, pretty safe.
Yeah, but he has to get to the checkered flag. As Slimbo here
well,
looking to...
he has to get 90%.
That's true, 90%. That is the rule. But we'll have to try and work out 9 by 3, 27. So if he gets
28.
to 28, then he will be classified. So
28 completed laps, and he will be classified and get a point.
Slimbo, meanwhile, trying to put some pressure on the Haas then as we make our way down towards turn 13. Table Clan on the hard tires, as is Gabri with Slimbo on the medium. So really split strategy across the entire field of which tyres to go onto. You would assume then, Austin, that the hard tyre runners are going to the end of the race, but what about the medium tyre runners?
I'm not so sure the hard runners are going to the end of this race. This track just eats through the tires, so I think we are going to see everyone for another pit stop, because the change was so early, lap 3, 4, 5, that everyone is going to come in one more time, as Aero just sets the fastest lap of the race here, 140.7. Iamotti with another 3-second time penalty. That's his second of the race. But look at the gap that Aero has to everyone behind. 9 seconds. That's how much he gained from that move. Iamotti unfortunately didn't gain as much because he made a huge mistake on the outlap. That cost him not just the double stack. On the outlap he also made a mistake that cost him about 6 to 7 seconds, and so that hurt him quite a lot.
Gabri,
but he's still fit.
trying a move up the inside as Gabri. He'll be now on the outside. A little bit of contact between them as we head through turn 8. The Mercedes gives him the room, but now Gabri has the inside for turn number 9 and gets the move done. Great move there as Pedro is now out of the race entirely. Table Clan meanwhile now drops to 3rd place with that Ferrari of Slimbo right behind as we make our way now across the Anderson Bridge and towards turn 13. You can see how much pressure the Mercedes is under right now, and with Slimbo on the medium tyres, he'll be wanting to get that move done as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the gap from 1st to 2nd place now over 10 seconds, but Austin, as you say, virtual safety car
VSC
deployed. So VSC deployed, so all the cars are pretty much on the same pace as we get a chance to have a breather. We've had a rain at the start, a very quick track evolution to dry tyres. Now though, the track needs to rubber in, and it will rubber in for the rest of the race, assuming though it doesn't rain.
Yeah, that could happen. We could see a rainy start, a dry period, and then more rain. That is certainly within the realm of possibilities. The question is whether it will happen. I haven't seen it on an F1 game so far, but I know it is possible. And yeah, that could very well happen. The question is, when does the virtual safety car end? Aero would like it right now because he's at the beginning of the straight, meaning that he could stop adhering to the delta at the beginning of the straight. However, that's not going to happen. If it's at the end of the straight, it hurts him. And there we go, indeed. And Gabri and Table Clan and Slimbo, they all get it at the start of the straight, so they gain a lot of time here on Aero. They gain a lot of time back, I should say, but they're still over 10 seconds behind the Toro Rosso. So it seems like since we looked the last time, there was a bit of time before the VSC. They've lost another second to the leader.
Slimbo here will be looking to try and close in on Mercedes ahead of them, which is Table Clan. Meanwhile, further behind, Johan, championship leader, looking to try and close in on France as well. It's been such a hectic start, Austin. I mean, we're only 8 laps in and we've had everything but the kitchen sink thrown at us.
I would disagree with that. I think we had the kitchen sink thrown at us at this point. But yeah, it was absolutely, or it has been absolutely crazy for these first 7.5, 8 laps now. And I think it's only going to go, maybe it's going to go even crazier from here. I'm not so sure though. We already had the rain. Unless it rains again at some point. I don't see it getting even more crazy. I think we had enough already.
Well, you never know as we start now the 9th lap of the race. Aero leading the way. We're watching the battle for 2nd place as they now head their way down towards turn 1. Make sure you're following Apex Online Racing on Twitter. It's at Apex On Racing. Make sure as well you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss another F3 battle like this as they make their way now through turn 5, onwards towards turn 6, and then towards the braking zone of turn 7. A little bit of a stalemate now between Gabri and Table Clan. Although Table Clan's got the DRS run down towards turn 7, it doesn't look like he gains anything on the Haas or anything significant anyway.
Yeah, and this hurts Slimbo the most of these 3 drivers because he's on a different tire. He's on the medium, so he should be faster than them. But he's stuck behind Table Clan and Gabri, and all he sees is their gearboxes, their rears, and he can't get past. It is so hard to overtake on this track, and he may have made the wrong call on the tires. Because, yeah, he's not getting anywhere here, and he's only losing time behind the 2. I think he may be able to go Aero's pace, but not with these 2 ahead of him. And what makes it worse is that it's 2. If it was 1, he could try to get a better exit out of a corner and use DRS to overtake, but with 2 ahead of him, Table Clan also has DRS on every DRS straight.
Adding to that as well is that we've had a wet weather start. We've used wet weather tyres. That means the drivers are not locked to using or having to use 2 separate dry compounds. Those on the medium tyres could stop again and just put on another set of medium tyres to get them to the end of the race. So it really does open up the strategy, and it gives the drivers the freedom of what they want to do. But here's Slimbo here once again trying to get a better exit out of turn number 3. As we head through turn 5, you can see here, Table Clan, DRS wide open, it helps him to defend against Slimbo, but look at this, Slimbo's now closing in. Will he go for a move? No, he won't. He'll stay back. And all this time, he's still behind Table Clan right now. And the thing that's got to be, oh, as he kicks out the back end there, going through turn 8, the thing that will get to Slimbo is the frustration. I've been there before. You know you can get past the car ahead. You know there's opportunities you can do that, but you've got to resist that dive up the inside that you know really isn't on.
Well, yes and no. For what you have to resist the urge of throwing it up the inside when it isn't on. However, I would make the case that I think if Slimbo was a tad more aggressive, just a little bit, I think he could have gone past Table Clan already. I think the move was on. If not into turn 7 on this lap, then a surprise move into turn 8 might have pulled the trigger. He was close enough to just try to chuck one in there, and it wouldn't have come at a massive price, even at this track. Sometimes you gotta go for that gap, and you gotta try something, because right now not doing anything and just staying behind isn't working. Meanwhile, Francis is catching these 3 right here. You can see the pace of the medium compound tire compared to this trio here, as Slimbo, he may have overheated his tires. He's almost a second away from Table Clan. He's really falling away. Does get the DRS still, but it's close. And he may struggle with his tire temperatures.
Yeah, it's just so close. I wonder if Slimbo has just had to drop back slightly in order to recover some of those tyre temperatures. Not something Gabri and Table Clan have to worry about as much because they're on a harder compound tyre, but even at Singapore here, it's still going to be a demanding task for these tyres to stay in shape. Well, lap 11 of this race, we have 21 laps to go, and it is Aero who leads from Gabri, 13.7 behind. It's Table Clan in 3rd with Slimbo 4th, Francis closing in on this battle here in 5th place, Johan in 6th, Iamotti 7th, Swedish Dynamite in 8th, and Marco Krisman is in 9th place. 4 retirements so far, that only gives us 9 runners here left in this race, so hopefully we'll still have 9 with us towards the end of this round. Table Clan here really has got back onto the back of Gabri here. I wonder, it's almost as if Slimbo put Table Clan under pressure, so Table Clan had to both attack and defend, but with Slimbo now a second back, that gives Table Clan the opportunity to attack now and see if he can try and find a way past Gabri. Slimbo's now closed in once again with those medium tyres through the right angle section. He's able to close in, and now the gap's now back under a second. So,
as Slimbo goes very wide there on the exit of turn 23. He's lucky that there's at least a little bit of a runoff area there. It's not in every corner on this track, but at least it's turn 23 where that thing is there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Table Clan now with Slimbo. I mean, Slimbo's still in DRS range, but he's not in striking distance at all. That frees up Table Clan to look ahead instead of behind and not be worried about having to defend against the Ferrari, but instead try to focus on getting past that Haas in front of him.
Krisman makes a move on Swedish Dynamite towards turn 1 and is able to take away 8th place. So Krisman now up a position, Swedish Dynamite now down to 9th place. As we head now onto the 12th lap, Aero still leading by 14.8 now. That gap is just increasing and increasing. The more these drivers put each other under this pressure, the more time they're going to lose collectively. And if you're right, Austin, we still have a pit stop to go. The more this goes on for Aero, the less pressure he has in his second stint to really push on those tyres.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, he's 15 seconds ahead. You lose about 23, 24 seconds with a pit stop, maybe 25. If he can drive that gap out, he's not going to be stuck behind them. He's not going to have to worry, but he needs a very, very consistent drive. Needs to... The most important thing, again, just keep the tire temperatures in check. And then he might be able to pull that off and get a whole pit stop out of this without losing a single position.
Absolutely. This is almost like a T-cam, rear cam, or rear wing cam there of Slimbo there, as he was making his way towards the braking zone of turn 5. But now we're onto that little bit of a straight with a curve in it, down towards through turn 6 and then towards the braking zone of turn 7. Just to give you a little bit of an update to the championship standings, Aero currently second in the championship, 36 points behind. Well, he's on 25 points at the moment, and Johan, I believe, is on 8 points. So if I work that out pretty quickly, which 17 points is the difference.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
That means the gap would go down to 19 points, almost halved with one race. If it stays the way it is right now, which, you know, we can't be certain on this track for sure. But Francis with a slide there. But it's looking good for Aero, that is for sure. And Johan is struggling on those hard tires with now 22 seconds behind the leader and even 5 seconds behind Francis, the guy ahead of him.
Just trying to put pressure more and more as we head now in the right angle section underneath the grandstand as we now head towards 20 and 21. Towards the final 2 quarters of 22 and 23, and Table Clan dropped off a little bit from Gabri on that last lap, as has Slimbo to Table Clan. But I'll tell you what, Francis was on a bit of a charge here, making his way now down towards turn 1. He's going to go for it. He's going to send it up the inside there. He's got the corner, but he backs off and lets the Ferrari back through. It was aggressive, but I tell you, he did have the corner, but obviously he felt that that was far beyond fair racing, so he's let the position go. And that could have easily just been Francis saying, you know what, I'm going to go for it, job done, I've got the position. But he showed the sportsmanlike behaviour and gave the position back. But I don't know, 50-50 on that one.
I'm 100% with Francis here giving the position back. He went way too deep into the corner. He left the track with all 4 wheels, which may have actually given him a warning. Which he... Oh no, it didn't. Amazingly, this didn't give him a warning. Maybe because he backed off. Yeah, he was just way too deep into that corner. If he had stayed on track through turn 2, through the right-hand part of that first corner as Francis slides into turn 14, if he had stayed on track for that, then I would say he didn't have to give it back, but he went way too deep, left the track completely, and had to give the position back there. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure if the game didn't tell him to give the position back, there would have been a steward's inquiry afterwards, and there would have been a penalty on that. That's for sure.
Again, that releases that pressure on Table Clan even more as we head now down towards Sun. You can see Francis has the pace here. He's just got to pick his moment there of getting past as we head in towards turn 3. And obviously, that's that frustration of being behind that car in front for so long. It's those moves there, those half-hearted moves that can really not only cost you your race, but other drivers' races as well. And that could be a trip to the steward's office.
Yeah, so good on Francis for giving the position back, but he lost himself and Slimbo a whole second there with that move, which you have to remember as a racing driver, you are racing against two, you basically with 13 runners, you're racing against 13 opponents. You would think it's 12, right? You're not racing against yourself. Well, you're really racing against 14 even. You aren't racing against yourself. You're racing against the 12 opponents on track. You're also racing against the time as Francis puts one up the inside, and this time it works out.
Francis then up to 4th place, Slimbo down to 5th as we make our way up towards turn 14. And Slimbo here in the Ferrari. I think maybe those medium tyres, for some reason, they're just not working for Slimbo. Maybe he's overheating them, because Francis seems to be having the time of his life on it now.
Yeah, I think that could very well be the case. We already saw Slimbo falling away from Table Clan, and I suggested just a couple laps ago that was due to tire overheating. Seeing the difference in pace here between himself and Francis, who are both on the same tires with 1 lap difference, which is just absolutely minute. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Slimbo has overheated his tires, and he is paying the price for that. And once you overheat the tires here, it is near on impossible to get them back into the working range.
Still on the back of Gabri as we make our way now down towards turn 7 again. The Mercedes having to be patient, but the gap between Aero and Gabri now 17 seconds. Aero here is just on it. He's dialed into the track and he's just putting in lap time after lap time, so consistent out there that he's built himself this gap now. For Aero, everything's happened behind him. You know, it seemed like ages ago that he made that really gutsy call. In fact, Toro Rosso made that gutsy call to bring both cars in, change them onto dry tyres when we both thought, no, that's too early, it's still raining. And then lo and behold, the DRS is enabled, the rain clears up, the track dries up very quickly, and all of us, apart from the Toro Rossos, were none the wiser.
Yeah, I'm looking at Aero's lap times right now. Over the last 6 laps, he's always been within half a second of himself. His fastest lap was at 140.3, his slowest 140.8. That is consistency to the max. Now, the previous one that he just finished, lap 16, 141.0, so he is dropping off a little bit, but still very, very consistent at the front, and just overall really, really dialed in, as you said, drive for Aero here.
What's going to help him as well is Gabri being under pressure from table crank. Gabri here will have to take a little bit more defensive lines, especially on the run down towards turn 7. He'll be looking at his mirrors now because table clan has that DRS heading through turn 6. He's gaining now on the Haas, but is it going to be enough? No. Table clan actually backs out heading in towards turn 7 there. He's just waiting for that opportunity to make sure that he can get a move down the inside, but it's just not appearing for table clan right now, or at least he doesn't think it's appearing at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm riding on board with table clan right now. He actually lifted off before he braked where at the end of the DRS straight, so he really backed out of this one. Not just that he wasn't feeling a move. No, he lifted off deliberately before going on to the brakes. So at this point, maybe, I'm going to tell you what, maybe table clan's thought at this point is, hey, this is way too early to fight, and he's trying to just go with Gabri for the most part, and then once the end of the race comes around, let's say lap 26, 27, 28, that's when you can start to fight, when you made sure that this is for second place and not for, or second place with 2 drivers battling, and not for second place with 5 drivers battling for it.
And hopefully all of you watching are enjoying this AOR Hype Energy F3 League race on the PS4 as Slimbo comes into the pit lane for what I assume will be medium tyres, the yellow wall medium tyres, and I believe that's exactly what's happening. On they go, and away the Ferrari goes. So where will that put Slimbo then? I believe Ian Motti's now making his way through 22 and 23, so he's probably going to be joined behind the Italian Il Toro Rosso, but ahead of Marco Krisman. So what's important for Slimbo?
I'm not so sure about behind Marco Krisman. Krisman is coming down the straight now as well. He sees the Ferrari, but this is getting close. But no, Slimbo's just ahead of the Slovenian there. Really, really close stuff, but he's instantly under pressure as well. However, he should be able to drive away quite quickly with fresh mediums. But yeah, for Slimbo, this is getting tough now to salvage this. I mean, he's in 7th place right now, possibly gets 6th against Iammotti, who's again on old hards, so Slimbo should have a huge pace advantage over him. But that pit stop for Slimbo was more than necessary. I think he could have actually gone in a lap or 2 earlier than he did, and just to get rid of those overheated medium tires.
Aero still leads then, 17.3 seconds.
And Aero comes into the pits.
So race leader then comes into the pits, second in the championship. He makes his way down to the pit lane. Surely this has got to be medium tyres now to the end of the race, but how will other drivers react? Gabri and Table Clan stay out, so they're going for
Francis
another lap.
Comes in at the very last second, decides to come in. and just breaks in time for the pit lane.
So then,
and here goes Aero behind Yawan, but ahead of Yamotti, that's for sure. And only, let's see, 8 seconds is what it says right now to the leader, and that is what it is. Yeah, 8.5 to 9 seconds. That's the gap that Aero has to close on fresh mediums now. Is it going to be possible? The hard runners might... I mean, that would be a hell of a feat for all of them. The hard tire, I didn't project it to last that long. To go... It's another 13 laps, so 27.
This is a Ferrari and a Red Bull going side by side in towards turn 5. Sorry to cut across you there. That's Francis getting a move done on Slimbo. Francis has just come out of the pit lane and Slimbo tried to get the move done. Francis held on though as we now head down towards turn 7. And so the Red Bull moves ahead of the Ferrari, and that was a move Slimbo wanted to get done there. You could see he wanted that done. Unfortunately for him, the Red Bull just had that pace out of the pit lane and was able to stay ahead. So what does that mean now for the hard tyre runners? Do they go to the end of the race, or do they come in now for a set of medium tyres?
Yeah, that is the question. They all have to answer individually for them. I really don't know. 27 laps on the hards seems near on impossible. So either they go in for the mediums now, or they go long enough and try to manage the softs to the end, which just seems like a really bad idea. It seems like a mess waiting to happen.
Well then, Aero is closing in on his championship rival and leader of the championship, Johan. Of course, Johan on 15-lap-old hard tyres, Aero on brand new, fresh, medium tyres. As he looks for the DRS here, I wonder if Johan here is going to put up a little bit of a fight. I don't think Aero's going to try and move down towards turn 7. No, he's not quite close enough that time around. But this is going to be the moment now. Aero, this is an obstacle for Aero, that's for sure. He wants to get past Johan. He knows he's going to be quicker with those medium tyres, but he's got to keep him in good nick, and he's got to bide his time. He's got to wait for the opportunity. But then he's caught between a rock and a hard place because he's got to get this move done as soon as possible. So what on earth does he do?
Well, there is a DRS zone coming up here right after the bridge. He was thinking about doing it here. However, prioritizes the exit. Look at this. Now, hot lap mode on the ERS. Overtake. Wait, there's no DRS zone here? There is a DRS zone here. What happened?
In any case, DRS or no DRS, Aero's got the move done around the outside, wow. And he gets ahead of the McLaren. Move done, and now he's 5.4 seconds behind Table Clan. That Mercedes and Haas there. Hearts have just dropped there because now the pressure is on them. Aero says the ball's in your court as wow, Table Clan sliding the rear end through there. Francis getting himself a 3-second time. Hopefully you're enjoying the race at home. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel down below. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time AOR goes live. Aero then 139.8, fastest lap of the race so far, and that gap has now come down to 4.6 seconds to Table Clan. The gap to the lead is now 4.1 seconds. In fact, it's not. It's 5.1 seconds. That's yes, my maths. But Aero's just picked up a time penalty, 3 seconds.
Yeah, and that might really cost him. However, looking at it, Table Clan has 2 warnings, no penalty. Gabri has a penalty as well, so it puts him on equal footing with Gabri. Table Clan might be in a prime position to win this here. However, it's still the looming question of, are they going to make it to the finish line on those hard tires, or do they have to come in for another pit stop and then strap on the softs, which would really only make sense if they make it on these hards to about lap 25, 26 maybe. The softs just go off that quickly.
It's going to be tough as well because if they come in for the soft tyres, then it's going to be very, very difficult for them to make up the time they lose in the pit lane in the first place, having to make the stop. So really, I think for them, the only option that they pretty much have is to use those medium tyres, or those hard tyres I should say, and just try and get to the end of the race now. I think for them, the pit window for the medium tyres is gone because Aero is now only 2.4 seconds behind. If they pit now, they're going to rejoin about 20 seconds behind Aero, and on any tyre here, 20 seconds in a remaining, 9 laps now? It's just going to be so tricky for them. So I think now that they've made their bed, they've got to lie in it now. They've got to stay out on these tyres, surely.
Yeah, looking at the lap times in difference here, Gabri 141.2 last lap, Table Clan 141.1, and Aero just set a new fastest lap 138.7. We're talking 2.5 seconds difference per lap between Aero and the two front runners, Gabri and Table Clan. 2.5 seconds. He's there by the end of this lap. He's behind them, and with 2.5 seconds difference in lap time, it's a lot easier to overtake on this track than with half a second, even 1 second. That is still quite difficult. With 2.5 seconds, the overtake should come almost naturally.
Now up towards turn 14, and Table Clan here has been behind Gabri for him for what seems like an eternity. But now Aero is just closing up, as you said, Austin. But catching on this circuit is one thing. Overtaking is quite a different subject entirely as we head underneath the grandstand through turn 19, onwards towards turns 20 and 21. And then towards the fast double left-hander of 22 and 23, you can see the Toro Rosso right behind Table Clan here. Look how much more grip he has through this corner. It's all this contact between the Mercedes and the Toro Rosso there. If anything, the Toro Rosso helped the Mercedes there to keep in shape because that Table Clan rear end had lost it there, but managed to gather it up. In any case, Aero's got the position. To me, that was just a little bit of race against some contact. There was nothing really Aero could have done really to avoid that contact there, but as you can see, the pace that Aero has now is astonishing.
Yeah, here
we go, down towards turn 7 with the DRS. No, he backs out of that one, thinks better of it, and stays behind the Haas there.
Yeah, but the next opportunity is about to come. Look at this, Gabri goes deep into that corner, and that puts him on the defensive instantly. Aero, however, using his ERS wisely, no deployment at all through this section right here. He just lets the tires do the work for him. And then once the straight comes around, as he really messes up turn 12 there, that left-hander. Oh, and a huge slide out of turn 13 rather. And that ruins his chances of getting the overtake done here on that straight. So now into the right angle section. I think start finish straight is what he's going to try, because here, unless he somehow can carve up a surprise move, which I don't see happening, unless he can do that, then start finish straight is probably the best bet. And considering the speed he can carry through the final corner compared to Gabri, as he does slice, maybe he's struggling with tire temperature now.
Having to push so hard as we now head down towards turn 1, lap 24 of the race here in Singapore. Towards turn 3, that slight turn 4 to the braking zone of turn 5. Once again, the Toro Rosso will have some DRS on the Haas there. A little bit more corner speed, but Gabri actually had the better exit there. It's all going to change with Aero in the slipstream. Now with the DRS down towards turn 7, he's looking for a move up the inside, but once again backs out of it. Gabri runs wide, leaving the Toro Rosso the space there. He'll go deep into 8 there, and Aero now will try and focus on his exit there, but still no way through here. As I said, catching the car with fresher tyres and in essence better tyres, better compound anyway, is one thing, but overtaking them is completely another thing. Aero's got to try and get past the widest Haas here in Singapore.
Yeah, this is a little bit reminiscent of a trolley train, but now Gabri sliding with the rear end, and this is the one now. Round the outside, just like he did it to Johan earlier. Is he going to be successful this time? Ooh, they're still side by side, but now the better traction out of turn 14, and Aero is back into the lead. Now the only thing he has to watch out for really is the tire temperatures, because this whole battling with Johan, with TableClan, with Gabri must have had some toll on the tire temperatures, and now he needs to get them down again into a working range. And I said earlier, and it's still true, once they are overheated, it's really, really hard to get them back in check and into a working range.
On to lap 25, so we have 7 laps to go here in Singapore. Gabri moves down to second place. Ian Motti gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Just as that battle for the lead was going on, we saw some battling between Slimbo and Ian Motti, and Slimbo has got that move done at long last for him. They were swapping positions for a couple of laps, but the Ferrari has got ahead of the Toro Rosso as it stands. But Ian Motti's not letting this fight go at the moment as they make their way towards turn 3. Now heading through that slight kinker 4 and onwards to the braking zone of turn 5. You can see that the Toro Rosso still within striking distance with that DRS, and you saw their Slimbo just the back end slightly out there on the exit of 5, heading down towards the braking zone at turn 7. And once again, Slimbo just keeping the car under control, doing what it needs to do, because there you go, another slide there in that car. It looks cool, but those tyre temperatures will be going through the roof if he keeps doing that.
Yeah, and we saw that in his first stint on the mediums, that he was struggling with the rear end and it was a little bit too loose, and it seems like that continues. And even though the tire temperatures may not be his biggest issue, as in he overheated his tires while battling someone, it seems like his setup really just wasn't made for the race and more for the qualifying, because he's struggling to limit the wheel spin, and that will inadvertently drive up the tire temperatures.
Ian Motti's still looking at the back of that Ferrari. He's not letting him go here as we have yellow flags in
Oh,
sector 3.
Francis has turned. He has spun. And he has reset onto the track. He didn't lose. He lost a lot of time, but he didn't lose a lot of. He didn't lose any position, and he didn't sustain any damage either. Must have spun on the exit of turn 23. Basically, spun across the finish line, and I think he may have hit the wall. He certainly was close to the pit wall. Spun to the inside there, to the left, but no damage sustained. And he can continue without any positions lost as well. So, really lucky he spins again. He spins again, and now he loses positions. Has to spin his car around again. Now he loses his front wing as well. Oh no.
Yeah, that's a case of if you spin once
and again into the one, he has retired from the session, or retired from the race. He was able to make the corner, and just the front left, just the suspension just gave up. Yeah, very unlucky.
It's when you spin in these cars, the tyre temperatures go through the roof. Once you rejoin again, it is so tricky. In normal conditions, to basically get those tyre temperatures back down, especially around a track like Singapore, it's even more difficult. So I think that's the case, that the tyre temperatures were too high, especially on those rear tyres, and Francis a little bit too heavy on the loud pedal, and it was sent into the wall once again. But lap 27 here, we're down to 8 runners in this race. Aero leads by 5.3 seconds, as well as that Ian Motti has got back past Slimbo with a move up through turn 1 last lap with some help from the DRS, and Slimbo here is really struggling to keep these tyres in check. TableClan trying to still close in for second place against Gabri. We've had this really since lap number 8, when the rain stopped and everyone came in for a fresh set of dry tyres. It's been this way ever since. They might have been battling for the lead at one point, for second place, for third place, whatever it is, but the order between the two of them has always been Gabri, then TableClan. And I think towards the end of this race, Table Clan is just going to throw caution to the wind and maybe try and move. Iamotti and Slimbo once again battling as we head now on towards the entrance of turn 8. Slimbo has the inside line. Iamotti sticking it onto the inside of what will be turn 9. The Ferrari has the outside line. He has the grip, and that is a great, brave move from the Ferrari to stick it around the outside. And Iamotti moves down to 6th place. Slimbo up to 5th as we make our way towards the Anderson Bridge.
Yeah, and look at who's closing in on them as well. Marco Krisman trying to join this battle here for P5. And if we look at the penalties, let's see, give me a second here. Oh, wow. Whoa, wow, Slimbo. Oh, 3 penalties for him, 9 seconds. Iamotti, 3 penalties, 9 seconds. Marco Krisman, 1, 3 seconds. So, if he can just stay with them, he has a good chance of finishing in 5th place here.
Well, let's see what happens then in the closing stages of this race. Lap number 28 has been started by Aero. It is Gabri in 2nd with Table Clan on the final step of the podium for now. Championship leader Johan up to 4th place. So damage limitation for the McLaren driver. Iamotti still trying to close in onto the back of Slimbo. Slimbo here will be pretty annoyed at the sight of that Toro Rosso right now. He just won't go away. That's the problem here for Slimbo. As this race goes on, those medium tyres will become less and less effective, and basically the delta between the 2 tyres will become very similar. That's how Iamotti's still in this battle right now, as we make our way now down towards turn 7. Of course, as well, you've got Marco Krisman on the same age tyres as Iamotti, able to draw in these two as we head now in towards turn number 8, onwards towards turn 9. And again, the Italian in the Toro Rosso, looking to try and stay with Slimbo as long as he possibly can, and he's able to stay within DRS range, which is helping him in the moments that matter.
Yeah, and remember one more thing, Marco Krisman doesn't have to pull a move, and he knows he doesn't have to pull a move on them. Remember, this year, F1 2019 is the first game in the F1 series where on the multiplayer races you can ask your engineer about the penalties of other drivers around you. So he knows that Iamotti and Slimbo have more penalties than he does, and he just needs to stay with them and doesn't need to get ahead of them.
That was Slimbo very close to the outside wall there on the exit of 17. He's able to keep the car in check, and 3 laps to go as Aero starts lap 29. And you can see here that Toro Rosso still trying to pull a gutsy move. You can't fault Iamotti for his determination to get past this Ferrari here. DRS wide open down towards turn 1. Didn't get a good run through 23, and so he didn't get a good run down towards turn 1. However, look at this through turns 2 and 3. He's closed up to Slimbo once again as we now make our way through that slide kick 4 onwards towards turn 5. Look how close Iamotti is once again. He'll have some DRS. He keeps the rear end in check. Now the DRS will be wide open. Can he try a move here? Down towards turn 7. Look how quickly he's closing in. Iamotti went for a move down the inside, but had to back out of it there. He wasn't confident in getting side by side down towards turn 7 there, and Slimbo rather made that point for him as he took the racing line. He wasn't going to take anything else there.
Yeah, he really wasn't going to play along with Iamotti there, but Slimbo really struggling now. And you said the delta with every waning lap gets similar. I would even go so far as to say most likely Slimbo's tires towards the end of the race now might be worse than Iamotti's because of how much how much time he has taken, or how much wear he has taken out of his medium tires compared to Iamotti, who has been driving very, very calmly, very, very calm and collected, and very within himself to keep these tires in check and make sure they last a long time. So expect Iamotti to find some pace compared to Slimbo and maybe even pull a move either in the penultimate lap that is coming up now or in the final lap.
Here we go then, down towards turn 1, riding aboard with the Italian again, looking for a move onto turn 1. Nothing doing there as we now head in towards turn 3.
And Gabri has spun!
Gabri's in the wall! and all that sustained pressure, he was looking on top of it. But look how much front wing damage that was at turn 8.
Yeah.
And Table Clan has now taken away second place. Johan here might have just been handed a podium if he can get past Gabri. Gabri will surely now try and limp that car to the end. Iamotti here looking for a move up the inside at turn 7. Here we go then towards turn 8. Iamotti once again on the outside, and he'll now have the inside for turn 9. Can he try and make this move stick then? They're going to be side by side through turn 9. They are so close together. Now heading up towards turn 10, the old Singapore slick still trying to move up the inside. On the outside here for turn 11, the Ferrari is making this move as difficult as possible. He's got the move done through turn 12. That was gutsy. What a move from the Italian there. And he now moves up to 5th place.
Yeah, meanwhile, Gabri's still trying to keep Johan behind him, and Johan doesn't find a way through. And it's only one more lap once they come across the line here. And Johan just doesn't find a way. Gabri obviously stays out. Ooh, Johan. Now maybe there's the chance.
Yeah,
with DRS.
Open.
Yeah, with overtake mode engaged, and at this point it is over, and Gabri has to take evasive action here. But no chance for him. However, oh, look at this. That's not legal, is it?
Well, they're still making a battle of it. That pass is not letting
However,
this go without a fight.
Johan came across the detection point first, so he gets the DRS even though he's ahead. And that helps him defend, and now Johan is going to ride off into the distance in 3rd place, with Gabri getting 4th place. However, the penalties may play a role, but I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look. No, they're both on 1, so no penalties, no penalty difference between the two. And so Johan will be 3rd, Gabri 4th. But Table Clan, after all these laps, how long was he behind Gabri? 27, 28, 29, 30 laps maybe?
It
was the whole race. And not once has he really attempted a move.
Well, here is Aero
this whole
then.
pressure looming. And he gets the position due to a mistake from Gabri.
And Aero making his way towards the final couple of corners. It's been commanding, it's been dominant, it's been Aero who wins here in Singapore under the lights and under the fireworks. He gets a well-deserved win, a fantastic strategic call at the end of the rain. The Table Clan will take 2nd place, and Johan here will take 3rd place here in Singapore. He does get penalties, but Gabri, what might have been, will come across the line, limps home in 4th place. You can see that frustration there. And Iamotti, well, a move just before the Anderson Bridge, almost threw it away there on the exit of turn 21. Let's see how penalties affect this one, but massively.
Chrisman.
It's going to be Chrisman who jumps the both of them. Yeah, Chrisman 5th, Iamotti 6th. Limbo then will move up to 7th place. Whereabouts is Swedish Dynamite? Well, he's going to take 8th place. He's got past that 90% distance, so he will be scoring those 2 points there.
4.
Oh, 4 points, my apologies. What that means then is that Aero gets 25 points, Johan 15 points, so the gap comes down by only 10 points then for these championship standings. But we'll wait for Swedish Dynamite to come across the line to take those 4 points and that 8th place here in the Haas. He's now making his way through 21 onwards towards 22 and 23 to finish off his Singapore Grand Prix. But the winner here, under the floodlights, kept his cool in the wet and the dry. Aero wins in Singapore.
Yeah, and looking at the fastest lap, we might actually see Aero getting another point. So it's 26 for him and 15 for Johan, so the gap might come down 11 points instead of 10, meaning with another win and fastest lap and a 0 from Johan, Aero might be able to take the championship lead.
Well, he's definitely, Aero here is definitely deserved their prowess today. Got the call absolutely right. Both the Toro Rossos did when the crossover point when it came to those dry tyres, but Aero just took a commanding performance towards the end of that race. And here are your unofficial results for the Singapore Grand Prix here in the AOR Hype Energy F3 PS4 League. It is Aero who takes the race win, and Table Clan in second place, Johan in third with Gabri in fourth, Chrisman in fifth with Iamotti in sixth, Slimbo in seventh, and Swedish Dynamite, the last of the finishers, finishing in eighth place. DNFs for Francis, Pedro, Jamie James, Pitmat and Slossy, and Table Clan, the only driver to get to the checkered flag with 0 penalties to his name. And by 0.02 of a second, maybe even less than that, the fastest lap of the race point. Well, that's interesting because Francis had it, but of course he DNF'd, so does it go to the fastest finisher?
No, in this case, so the fastest lap point goes to a top 10 driver if they finish inside the top 10, which Francis did not do. He was 9th, but he did not finish. Therefore, there is no fastest lap point for this race.
So nothing gained for Aero then, so they'll move on with 25 points. So the gap to the leader comes down by 10 points, and by my calculations that's now come down to 26 points, the gap to the leader. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell so you're notified every time AOR goes live. The next time we will be live, myself and Austin, will be at the Russian Grand Prix, which I believe is next week. So make sure you're following the league on Twitter as well. It's at Apex on Racing. You can follow me if you like, if you really want to. It's at KS McGinley. Good luck spelling it. And if you want to follow Austin on Twitter, it's at the Badger Man, where the second E is a 3. I'm getting
yes, indeed. Thank you very much.
But Austin, it's been a fantastic race. It threw everything at us, and I'm still trying to comprehend what actually happened.
Yeah, it was a crazy one. And next week we're going to be back for the Russian Grand Prix at the Sochi Autodrome, and I have to say, I know a lot of people hate that track, but I like it. I think it's a very good track. It's very fun to drive, and it does make for great racing, at least on the F1 game. Maybe not always in real life, but certainly on the F1 game it makes for some great races, and I can't wait.
Absolutely, and hopefully you'll be joining us for that one too. Until next time then, Austin, Russian Grand Prix is next, and we hope that you'll be joining us for it as well. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I've been Kieran McGinley.
And I'm Austin Smith.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.